Are you rebuking this committee?
Why am I supposed to rebuke the committee? I am
You
not.
have been saying things for a while.
What?
You have been rebuking this committee.
You are saying that.
We're not blaming the Vice President on this.
I asked
Honorable
the question.
Marcoleta, we
I asked
are
the
not
question.
blaming
You do not have the right to
One minute,
defend that.
one minute suspension is declared by the chair.
Move to suspend.
Mga kabayan, muntik nang magkasuntukan at magpang-abot ang ilang kongresista kahapon habang isinasagawa ang pagdinig sa Kamara kaugnay sa pondo ng Office of the Vice President. Nagugat ang pagtatalo matapos iginiit ni Congressman Marcoleta na dapat ay iulat din ng COA ang iba pang ahensya na may notice of disallowance sa paggastos ng confidential funds at hindi lang ang OBP.
Anything we can discuss in this committee provided it is of public interest. And you said that intelligence funds and confidential funds are public interest. But I said because of our own rules, we should make a prior and preliminary determination that is directly and principally connected to malfeasance, misfeasance, or non-feasance. We have not made that determination. The notice of disallowance suffered by way of supporting documents, by way of non-compliance with certain requisites. What if the Vice President is able to provide all the supporting documents? What if finally she is able to come up with the requisites required in order for you to consider that all these funds are eventually allowable and they are not disallowed? And chances are she may be able to do that.
Sa puntong ito, agad na sumingit at nagsalita si Congressman Bienvenido Abante para kontrahin ang pahayag ni Marcoleta.
Is he rebuking this committee?
What is the question, Mr. Chair?
Are you rebuking this committee?
Why am I supposed to rebuke the committee? I am
You
not.
have been saying things for a while.
What?
You have been rebuking this committee.
You are saying that.
We're not blaming the Vice President on this.
I asked
Honorable
the
Marcoleta,
question.
we
I asked
are
the
not
question.
blaming
You do not have the right to defend
One minute,
that.
one minute suspension is declared by the chair.
Move to suspend.
Dahil sa nangyaring tensyon sa dalawang mambabatas, agad na sinuspinde ang pagdinig para kumalma ang magkabilang panig. Maya-maya si Marcoleta naman at si Congressman Paduano ang nagkainitan at muntik nang magpang-abot. Pero sa puntong ito agad na umawat ang iba pang mga kongresman. Ang punot dulo ng hindi pagkakaunawaan sa Kongreso kahapon ay matapos tumanggi itong si Vice President Inday Sara na manumpa sa Kamara. Paliwanag ni BPSARA, isa lang siyang resource person at hindi witness kaya hindi siya nag-oath.
Kasi nagpadala sila ng rules at pinag-aralan ko yung rules nila. Nakalagay doon sa rules nila na witnesses lang yung mag-oath. Paulit-ulit na sinabi kanina na resource person ako. So sabi ko, bakit naman ako mag-oath na resource person ang sinabi sa akin? Malaki po ang pinagkaiba ng witness saka resource person.
Iginiit ni BPSARA na walang misuse of funds sa kanyang tanggapan dahil naka-audit naman ito sa COA at handa siyang patunayan ito. Ayon sa pangalawang Pangulo, gumagawa lang ng paraan ang mga tao ni TAMBA para siya ay ma-impeach, bagay na kinampihan naman ni Marcoleta at Congresswoman Gloria Macapagal Arroyo ang naging pahayag ng Vice Presidente.
We have not done anything wrong. There is no misuse of funds. If there are audit findings, we shall gladly respond to them before the Commission on Audit. And if there are legitimate cases to be filed, then we shall gladly respond to them before the appropriate courts. So you may try to destroy me, you can skin me alive and throw my ashes to the wind. But let it be known, you will find me unbowed. I will continue to serve the Filipino people no matter the personal cost or political intrigue.
Ano ang masasabi mo dito, kabayan? Sama-sama nating panoorin ang buong video at pakikomment nyo po ang inyong mga reaksyon at sariling opinyon. Pero bago yan, muli po ako nag-iimbita. Sa mga hindi pa po nakasubscribe sa ating channel na Kabayan News PH, pakipindot po ang subscribe button at pakiclick na rin ang notification bell para lagi kayong updated sa mga bagong upload natin na legit at napapanahong balita. Maraming pong salamat.
To all the resource persons invited, kindly stand up and raise your right hand, please. Representatives and resource persons from the Office of the Vice President, COA, and DBM po. Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, the Honorable
yes,
Vice
when you
President.
sent a letter to the Office of the Vice President, you attached a copy of the rules
Okay.
in aid of legislation.
Yes po.
Yes, sir. Nakalagay po doon na witnesses lang po ang ino-oath. Sabi niyo po ngayon sa amin, resource persons kami.
Ang ano po, considered as resource person po.
Ang ano po.
Kayo po.
Kaya nga po.
Yes po. Lahat po ino-oath po.
Yes.
Apo.
Nakalagay po sa rules ninyo, witnesses. Nakalagay po dito ngayon sa table, resource persons.
Lahat po considered as resource person and witness. Lahat po naman kayo, lahat resource person pa eh. Wala pa naman po tayong tinatawag na, lahat po considered as resource person pa lang po.
Right. Opo. Ang nasa rules ninyo, witnesses lang po ang nag-o-oath. Wala po kayong rules sa resource persons.
Ma'am, ano lang po yun eh. Yung term lang po yun eh. Pero considered as a resource person din po kayo eh.
Yes, sir.
Opo.
Resource persons nga po
Kayo
nakalagay
witness
dito.
din po at saka resource person po.
Hindi nyo po sinabi na witness ako. Sinabi nyo po dito ngayon, resource persons. Ang nakalagay po sa rules ninyo, witness.
Comsec, ano po yung pinadala po ninyo?
Yun pong rules in aid of legislation.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
What is the point of order of the Honorable Congressman
Because this issue about
Macapagal?
witness, resource person, etc., etc.
Ma'am, ma'am, pakilakas lang po, hindi po marinig.
Persons and accused has been taken up in previous legislative inquiries in aid of legislation. I want to quote a December 8, 2008 hearing in the Senate, where Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago issued, had an opinion on a similar situation, but she quoted a Supreme Court ruling. So, the Constitution provides that no person shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. The Supreme Court has repeatedly emphasized that there is a difference between a mere witness and the accused. And it can appear from statements and privileged speeches that there is that a person who is the subject matter of an adverse privileged speech is not a mere witness or a mere person of interest, meaning a suspect. She is in fact accused of what seems to be a criminal case for violation of certain criminal laws, including malversation of public funds. And there is a case quoted in 2007, Standard Chartered Bank versus the Committee on Banks, where the court repeated the rule that an accused occupies a different tier of protection from an ordinary witness. So, where the court said, Supreme Court said, whereas an ordinary witness may be compelled to take the witness stand and claim the privilege at each question requiring an incriminating answer is shot at him, an accused may altogether refuse to take the witness stand and refuse to answer any or all questions. So that has been a supreme. And then there is a portion that the court explained that the right of the accused against self-incrimination also applies to respondents in administrative investigations such as legislative inquiries in aid of legislation. So that is the point of order I am raising, and there is a Supreme Court ruling to this effect. Thank you, Mr.
With that, the chair declares 1 minute suspension. Recess. Madam Congresswoman Arroyo, may I know if may I be clarified if the tenor of your point of inquiry is referring to the sub judice case or rule?
Referring to the sub judice case, but it is saying that when a witness, in fact, is in reality the accused.
Ma'am, pakilakas po ng konti. Medyo hindi ko po...
What he's saying is that if by the, by the nature, for instance, of the privileged speech, if the witness is not a mere but the person being asked is not a mere witness or a mere person of interest, he is in fact the accused of what seems to be a case including malversation of public funds. And the court repeated the rule that an accused occupies a different tier of protection from an ordinary witness. So from given what Miriam Defensor Santiago said and the Supreme Court ruling that she's quoting, we cannot, what do you call this? We cannot just trivialize. You're just a witness. You're a witness. Pareho na rin yung witness and source person. They are not the same. The Supreme Court says they are not the same. And somebody who appears to be the accused has a different tier of protection from a witness. And in fact, can refuse to take the witness stand.
Congressman Flores, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, this is an inquiry in aid of legislation, and no one is technically accused of any wrongdoing here, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, look at the speech.
Ma'am, please, ma'am, please wait to be
Mr.
recognized.
Chair, may I request a
Wait.
1
I will,
minute
I will,
recess?
1 minute. 1 minute
Thank
recess
you.
declared by the chair.
Yes. Mr. Chair, yes. Mr. Chair,
Session resumes.
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
You will be given the opportunity later,
Okay.
Madam Vice President. In any event, the point of the Honorable Arroyo is well taken, but we will proceed to the oath taking. If the Vice President refuse to take her oath, we will respect that. In the meantime, COMSEC, please proceed with the oath taking of the other witnesses.
To all the other witnesses and or resource persons, please stand up and raise your right hand, inviting the DBM, the COA, and other staff from the Office of the Vice President, Your Honor. Okay. Please your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the statements you will give before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. The oath has been administered, Your Honor.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Congressman Paduano.
Of course, you have already ruled with regards to the point of the order being raised by the former president and now representative of Pampanga, Madam Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. But still, there is also a supposedly a pending manifestation being made by the members of this committee with regards to the point of order that was raised. So I think, Mr. Chairman, we have to hear first. But of course, you have already ruled. But we have to also to hear the manifestation of the members of this honorable committee. And in that case, you have already recognized the good Congressman Kit Flores. And I think it is just proper to recognize him once again. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Congressman Paduano. The Honorable Flores is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, but I think the ruling was already made, Mr. Chair, and I will submit, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Congressman Paduano. We will now, let us also discuss the administrative matters. But before we proceed, the Chair would like to recognize the Honorable Bongalon of Ako Bicol, the Mr. Marvin Joshua Palitik of the Commission on Audit, State Auditor 3. Honorable Marlene Primicias Agabas, Deputy Majority Leader, 6th District, Pangasinan. The Honorable Marcoleta of Sagip. Honorable Micaela Swansing, 1st District, Nueva Ecija. The Honorable Ricardo Cruz, Lone District, Taguig Pateros. And the Honorable Filimon Espares of Co-op NATCO. The COMSEC is directed to report to the committee who have invited and who have responded to the invitation.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have invited the Office of the President through email sent last September 13, 2024. However, we were informed that they use a different extension for their electronic mail. And then the Chief of Staff, Attorney Zulaika Lopez, Ms. Winnie G. Diego, Chief Public Assistance Division, Attorney Rosaline Sanchez, Director for Administrative and Financial Services, and Mr. Norman B. Baloro, Director of Operations Office, to whom the satellite office's report replied yesterday that through their executive assistant Nicole, that they will designate a representative from the central office. This is the same tenor of the replies from the satellite offices from Western Mindanao, Panay and Negros Islands, BARMM, Caraga, Cebu, Bohol, and Siquijor Satellite Office, as well as Pangasinan. May I also note, Your Honors, that the Pangasinan Satellite Office has read our letter invitation sent on September 13. They have read it on September 14, 2024, which was on a Saturday at 3:22 p.m. because the email sent by the Secretariat has a read receipt function, Your Honor. Moving on, this was the same tenor as well from the Davao Satellite Office, Cagayan Valley Satellite Office, Bicol, and Eastern Visayas Satellite Office. Meanwhile, Your Honor, for the Commission on Audit, we have sent an invitation to Chairperson Gamaliel Cordoba and Director of Legal Affairs, Daryl H. Tonolete, to whom we have forwarded the letter to Chairperson Cordoba. Assistant Commissioner Martha Rosana Sese was also sent an invitation on September 13. All of the resource persons were sent invitations on September 13. Director for National Government Audit Sector Cluster, Sofia Hamhemora, Supervising Auditor Elvira De Vera, were sent invitations. However, there were no direct email confirmations, but they verbally confirmed their presence. Pardon me. Yes, they confirmed their presence of their representatives today. For the Department of Budget and Management, we sent invitation to Secretary Amena Pangandaman on September 13, USEC Janet Abuel, and as well USEC functional group head Rolando U. Toledo, but this was for him, it was on September 16 as manifested by the Office of the Department of Budget and Management, and some of them are here. They are here today, Your Honor.
We will now proceed to the, before we proceed to the interpellation proper, the chair will recognize the Honorable Vice President for her message. Yes, ma'am. You are recognized, ma'am.
A message, sir, or my statement regarding the point of order? Message? Mga kababayan, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum, Warakmatullahi wa Barakatuh. Madayaw, mayong adlaw, kaninyong tanan. Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. The officials of the Office of the Vice President, as well as each and every one of our satellite office leads, were in receipt of a letter from the chairman of the Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability dated September 13, 2024, requesting our presence or that of our duly authorized representatives in today's initial deliberation with preliminary determination on privilege speech number 379. In view of the said letter, I am appearing before you today not only as the head of office, but more importantly as the duly authorized representative of all officials of the OVP. Simply because we have not done anything wrong. There is no misuse of funds. If there are audit findings, we shall gladly respond to them before the Commission on Audit. And if there are legitimate cases to be filed, then we shall gladly respond to them before the appropriate courts. In relation to this, may I just say that I take notice of the opening speeches and nasabi doon, there is a determination of misfeasance, nonfeasance, and malfeasance. And those are cases that should properly be taken in the courts of law. What we are witnessing now is no ordinary legislative inquiry. This exercise is a well-funded and coordinated political attack. This much is evident from the very words of the privileged speech that prompted this inquiry. A speech that simply meant to say, do not vote for SARA on 2028. It is clear to me that this inquiry is not about misused funds, accountability, or governance. Instead, it is solely aimed at discrediting my name and my office to prevent future political contests. I have publicly stated my reasons as to why I've chosen not to defend the OVP's budget proposal for 2025. I have narrated the issues I encountered in previous years, which can easily be confirmed by looking at the NEP, the GAB, and the GAA for fiscal years 2023 and 2024. Further, I have even shared the drama that transpired last year regarding the confidential funds. Hence, just as we have done last year, we again leave the 2025 OVP budget to the pleasure of Congressman Martin Romualdez. I am not asking for any special treatment, nor am I asking you to uphold any tradition. There is no disrespect. All I am saying is that you have the complete freedom to do whatever you wish with the OVP budget. If you feel that all the documentary submissions are not enough, then by all means, huwag kayo magbigay ng budget. Sa totoo lang, hindi naman ang budget ang punteriya ninyo. Dahil napakadali naman magtanggal ng budget. What you are trying to do is make a case for impeachment. Hindi naman ako kakandidato sa nalalapit na eleksyon. Hindi ako namumulitika. Ang ginagawa ko lamang ay ang pagtupad sa aking oath of office at campaign platforms na trabaho, edukasyon, at mapayapang pamumuhay. Sinabi ko na noon at ilang beses ko nang inulit na hindi ako ang problema ng bayan na ito. Ang totoong problema ng bayan ay kagutuman, kahirapan, illegal na droga, kriminalidad, terorismo, hindi na sapat na healthcare, kalidad ng edukasyon, kawalan ng plano ng infrastruktura para sa disasters, at marami pang iba. So, you may try to destroy me, you can skin me alive, and throw my ashes to the wind. But let it be known, you will find me unbowed. I will continue to serve the Filipino people no matter the personal cost or political intrigue. Having said that, I will not allow myself to be subjected to an inquiry based on an empty privilege speech, just so you can attack me and do indirectly what you failed to do directly during the budget hearings. I therefore request this committee to terminate this inquiry for its clear lack of any proposed legislation or substantive matter for discussion. Shukran.
The committee cannot rule on that because the committee already took cognizance of this privileged speech. Anyway, we will now proceed. Next, we will recognize the representative from COA,
Mr. Chair,
Congressman Marcoleta.
may I please raise a parliamentary inquiry?
What is your parliamentary inquiry?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The rules of the committee says that this committee only acquires jurisdiction on matters of nonfeasance, misfeasance, malfeasance. And under Section 2, Mr. Chair of the rules, there should be a prior determination whether or not these malfeasance, nonfeasance, and misfeasance are directly or specifically relating to the persons charged of this. Has this committee made a prior determination of this? And if so, when did it happen? And where is the order specifying that the committee has just reached a prior determination? This is very important, Mr. Chair, because the rules also says that after determining or making a prior determination, this committee will set an order, and that is the only way that this committee acquire jurisdiction over the person's subject matter of this inquiry. And that particular order of prior determination will set out the parameters. If I can make a comparison, Mr. Chair, in regular court, it is called pre-trial order, where the parameters of the inquiry, the presentation of evidence or explanations or allegations are limited to that set of stipulation. So considering, Mr. Chair, and I assume that there is no prior determination, I do not think how we can start the meeting today because we are supposed to observe the rules. I am referring to Section 2 of the rules of this committee, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. To answer that, Congressman Marcoleta, we have already ruled on the preliminary determination a while ago. Medyo na-late na po kayo. Now, with respect to your inquiry, that if we can proceed with this, considering that this is an investigation of malfeasance, misfeasance, and non-feasance, let me walk you through through the definition of good government and public accountability. It provides that all matters directly and principally relating to malfeasance, misfeasance, and non-feasance in office committed by officers and employees of the government and its political subdivision and instrumentalities, inclusive of investigations of any matter of public interest on its own initiative or upon order of the House. For the information of everybody, the issue on confidential fund is a matter of public interest. Lahat po tayo ay interesado, hindi lamang po tayo, yung publiko po, interesado kung paano po ito nagamit. Kaya yun po ang dahilan why this committee has jurisdiction over the subject matter.
But Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
Congressman Marcoleta.
Mr. Chair, under Section 5, there should be a record of preliminary determination. It says that the proceedings in the preliminary investigation or determination shall be recorded through stenographic notes. What you were mentioning are motu proprio cases. I am assuming that this committee started by way of a referral because of a privileged speech delivered on the floor by one of us. And so this is the main subject matter of this committee meeting, and to which we should first determine preliminarily whether or not this committee acquires jurisdiction. And I demand a record of preliminary determination under Section 5 because it says, upon termination thereof, Mr. Chair, the chairperson shall issue an order which shall recite in details the matters taken up. So what are the matters taken up, Mr. Chair? I think we should be able to comply with these elementary rules as specified in the governing rules.
Well, considering that we have yet to proceed to the interpellation, we are still in the period of recognizing the resource person as well as the witness. With that, the chair declares 1 minute suspension. We will proceed to the next interpellator, the Honorable Congresswoman Luistro. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wish to manifest that the refusal of Her Excellency Vice President Sara Duterte to take her oath in today's hearing in the conduct of inquiry in aid of legislation is an affirmation of her stand, her position during the budget briefing of the OVP. And this representation wishes to manifest that when the resource speaker does not take her oath, then it follows that whatever statement she will provide, we call it could not hold any water. That being not under oath, the same cannot be used as an evidence in any inquiry, in any proceeding, Mr. Chair. In other words, her refusal to answer in the last budget briefing of the OVP is tantamount to her stand in today's inquiry of refusing to take her oath. That is for manifestation, Mr. Chair. And with that, Mr. Chair, I wish to remind the committee, our esteemed colleagues, and the Filipino people of the constitutional mandate that public office is a public trust. When there is a question, we're bound to answer. We're bound to explain. As a matter of fact, no less than the Philippine Constitution provides, we are accountable to the Filipino people at all times. We are now confronted by the issue on confidential fund. And I wish to emphasize, ang confidential fund po ay pera ng taong bayan. And we owe it to the people to explain kung paano ito ginastos, saan ito napunta, and to be specific, sinunod po ba natin ang joint circular regulating the use of confidential fund. Mr. Chair, I wish to raise as well, to invoke as well, and remind our esteemed colleagues that pursuant to the separation of power, we, the Congress, is exercising the power to legislate. Under this power, we also have the power of the purse. We can amend, we can revise, we can approve, and we can disapprove the budget that was proposed to us by the executive. And I wish to remind as well that the best instrument which shows the power of the purse of the people is no less than the General Appropriations Bill, which is an embodiment of the allocation for the entire Philippine government, which is the result of the legislative process of the Congress. In other words, ang budget po ng ating bansa ay napapaloob din sa isang batas, saklaw ng kapangyarihan ng Kongreso, and that is the power to legislate. To be able to make sure that the power of the purse is properly exercised, we are granted as well by the oversight power. And that is to make sure that all our legislations, that includes the budget of the national government, the General Appropriations Act, are well complied with by our fellow public servants. And to make sure, and as a consequence of this oversight power, we have this inquiry in aid of legislation. So I just wish to remind the Filipino people, and that includes the OVP, ito po ay trabaho ng Kongreso. Busisiin ang budget. And not only that, to exercise the oversight power to make sure na yun pong ating mga nakaraang legislation, that includes the General Appropriations Act, ay nagamit ng tama ng mga ahensya ng gobyerno. I hope that the OVP will be enlightened to address the issues instead of attacking this institution, of politicizing, and matters concerning politics, Mr. Chair. Third, Mr. Chair, we should be uniform in the application of our rules. If we are guided by the constitutional mandate that public office is a public trust, if we observe malfeasance, misfeasance, and nonfeasance in the LGUs, as a matter of fact, we have pending inquiry in aid of legislation concerning LGUs. Kung iniimbestigahan po natin ang Office of the Mayor, kung iniimbestigahan po natin ang Office of the Governor, by equality under the law, we should conduct an investigation as well to the Office of the Vice President. And I wish to thank the Honorable Valeriano for taking a stand before the plenary to initiate this inquiry in aid of legislation to address the observation not only of this representation, but of our fellow members of the Committee on Appropriations about the irregularities which we have seen already in the disbursement of fund, as a matter of fact, not only of the confidential fund, but even the regular allocation of the OVP. With that, Mr. Chair, may I proceed to my question for the COA? Kanina
Yes.
po,
But after your lengthy manifestation, you have
Mr.
already
Chair.
consumed 4
just
minutes.
one question,
Mr.
Mr. Chair.
Mr.
Just
Chair,
one question.
Yes, the Honorable Marcoleta.
May I offer a counter manifestation, Mr. Chair?
Later po, 1 minute na lang po siya and then
Kasi
I will
baka makalimutan yung continuity, yung flow ng discussion. I'd like to ask only, Mr. Chair, by way of manifestation, is there anybody who is questioning the power of the purse of Congress? Is there anybody who is questioning the legislative function and oversight function of Congress? Is there? Because if there is none, then we are not supposed to overextend the discussion or any manifestation because nobody is questioning that. And I think nobody could question that. Even the privileged speech of the Honorable Valeriano. I think the proper question there, the proper title is not asserting the power of the purse. We should not assert it because that power is inherent in us. Asserting or not asserting that power is of no moment. Yun po ay birthright. Yun po is inherent right of Congress. And let me make of record, the office of the Vice President, to my mind, did not undermine the power of the purse. When she personally came in the first hearing and presented herself, including the budget by way of a PowerPoint presentation, she made a presentation, Mr. Chair. And after that, she made a categorical statement that she said, I forgo, Madam Chair, I forgo my opportunity to defend the budget of the Office of the President by way of question and answer, and instead I leave it to the discretion of the House of Representatives on their decision to decide on the proposal as presented. This is a very respectful answer. Mr. Chair, I did not find any offensive remark in that particular statement. She gave the entire House of Representatives the entire discretion, the entire right to decide on the proposal she presented before us. Why would we blame her for saying that she disrespected Congress? No, sir. I think it was triggered by the fact that questions were asked in relation to the confidential and intelligence funds. To my mind, Mr. Chair, these particular funds were subjected to a notice of disallowance. But the notice of disallowance by its nature, by its very nature, Mr. Chair, is contestable. It is appealable. It is yet to be explained. And initially, as explained by the representative of COA, the notice of disallowance suffered by way of supporting documents, by way of non-compliance with certain requisites. What if the Vice President is able to provide all the supporting documents? What if finally she is able to come up with the requisites required in order for you to consider that all these funds are eventually allowable and they are not disallowed? And chances are she may be able to do that. Hindi po final judgment ang notice of disallowance. As a matter of fact, based on COA's own representation the other day, the Vice President received the notice of disallowance only on August 24, 2024, which means, Mr. Chair, the Vice President has 6 months within which to reply and make an answer. That is correct, Madam COA. So, 6 months is up to February 2025. We should give her all the allowance. We should give her the time. Because 6 months is 6 months. So why are we rushing to make a judgment? As a matter of fact, as I have already initiated earlier, Mr. Chair, when you said that anything we can discuss in this committee provided it is of public interest. And you said that intelligence funds and confidential funds are public interest. But I said, because of our own rules, we should make a prior and preliminary determination that is directly and principally connected to malfeasance, misfeasance, or non-feasance. We have not made that determination. How can we now begin questioning whether or not the intelligence funds covered by an initial notice of disallowance is already directly and principally connected with non-feasance or misfeasance or malfeasance? Madam COA, how many agencies of government today are subjected to notice of disallowance? Do you have a number? How many agencies today?
With all due respect to the
Before
honorable
But that is a question I will leave, and I will
Yes.
terminate
But-
my manifestation, Madam.
Yes, but I will.
I
I
believe,
would like
Mr.
to
Chair, that
respond.
this is still my time.
Yes, but I would like to respond to your manifestation, Congressman Marcoleta.
Parliamentary
Let
inquiry,
me.
Mr. Chair. Parliamentary inquiry
What is
muna.
the parliamentary inquiry of
I
the
would
Honorable
like to
Abante?
ask the Honorable Marcoleta, is he rebuking this committee?
What is the question, Mr. Chair?
Are you rebuking this committee?
Why am I supposed to rebuke the committee? I am
You
not.
have been saying things for a while.
What?
You have been rebuking this committee.
You are saying that.
We're not blaming the Vice President on this.
I
Honorable
asked the question.
Marcoleta, we
I asked
are
the
not
question.
blaming
You do not have the
the
right to
office.
demand
1 minute,
that.
1 minute suspension is declared by the chair.
Move to suspend.